Have you ever wondered how much money you need to have in your retirement accounts to actually retire someday? Well, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to calculate your financial independence number and how to figure out if you're even in the ballpark to retire. So before we jump into what I call some basic mathematical equations here, we need to figure out a couple things. First thing is, what are your income sources going to be during retirement? Are you going to be receiving Social Security income? Do you have a pension you're going to be drawing from? Do you have rental income? Or is your money going to be coming from traditional investments like IRAs, 401ks, stocks, bonds, brokerage accounts, rental real estate? Where is your income going to come from? Then once we figure out your income sources, then we can pivot to figuring out what are your expenses going to be. So as I've mentioned on previous podcasts and other videos, is we need to figure out what are your static expenses, AKA your roof over your head expenses. So an example of these expenses could be commitments that you have, like mortgage, if you still have a mortgage, or rent, any insurances that you have, your basic groceries, utilities, transportation. These are things that you need to pay to survive, essentially. So once we figure out your expenses, your basic expenses, then we can go to the next step. And the next step is, what is your net worth going to be? And I'm gonna whiteboard here just so we're all on the same page. So to figure out our net worth, we're gonna take our assets, everything that we own, our investments, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, retirement accounts, real estate. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna subtract our liabilities. So any debts that we have, we're going to subtract that, and then that's going to equal our net worth. So let's just say hypothetically, someone has $3 million worth of assets, but they also have $1 million worth of liabilities. So now that's going to equal a $2 million net worth. So once we figure out our net worth, and now we know what our basic living expenses are going to be, then we can jump into the first equation. So the first equation is going to help us determine the number of years our portfolio will support us. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our $2 million net worth and we're going to divide this by our annual spending. So in this example, our annual spending, let's just say hypothetically, $50,000 is what we figured out. So if we divide our net worth by our annual spending, this is going to give us a number. And in this scenario, this is going to give us the number 40. So what this is saying is, without taxes, inflation, or investment performance, is that we're going to be able to sustain and have 40 years available to us to pay our annual expenses based off our net worth. And again, this is just in today present environment. This can change with everything I mentioned before, with taxes, inflation, investment performance, but this gives us a good number. And what I like to see from clients is when they come see me or when I'm talking to them, is I want them to be at minimum 25 here, right? We want this score to be at least 25 plus. If your score is 25 plus, if you take your net worth, divide your basic expenses, if it's at 25 plus, then you're in the ballpark. You're at the time in which you can potentially retire, or at least you're really close to retirement. So this is just a really good way to check on your financial wellness and see if you're even close to retirement. So 25 minimum, anything over 25, you're in the green zone. Really quick and easy way to figure that out. Now what we're gonna do is, now we have to figure out essentially how much does our portfolio need to have in it so that we can safely withdraw the money we need to pay for our expenses. So again, using the $50,000 example, so let's say, again, our expenses are $50,000. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this number, we're gonna divide this by a withdrawal rate. So a very commonly recommended withdrawal rate by financial planners, and again, this is not advice for you, but it's just an average that people like to use. So a 4% withdrawal rate is pretty commonly used. So this means we're gonna take 4% from our portfolio to be able to pay for our living expenses. So if we take 50,000 for our living expenses, divide that by the 4% withdrawal rate, this is gonna give us a big number here. This is gonna give us a number of 1,250,000. This is your financial independence number. This is our target number. This is what we want to have in our retirement portfolio. And it doesn't have to be just an IRA, 401k. It could be, like I said, it could be other asset classes, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, brokerage accounts. 1.250 is the target number. So in order for us to safely withdraw this $50,000 a year at a 4% withdrawal rate without depleting our entire nest egg, the portfolio needs to be at 1,250,000. So you can easily do this for your situation. You can take your estimated basic living expenses and you can divide it by the 4% withdrawal rate. That gives you a really good target portfolio. Now, again, keep in mind, you might need a higher withdrawal rate. You might need 5, 6, or 7%. Maybe you might need a lower withdrawal rate. Maybe your expenses are gonna be way lower or way higher than that. But the point is, at least we can get you to a ballpark goal so that we can focus on the portfolio amount and getting you to your financial independence quicker. So what can drive this portfolio or get you to this portfolio goal is to have the right mix of assets. And number two, figure out what are your guaranteed income sources going to be. Because for example, in this scenario here, if your $50,000 living expenses can be covered by half of your Social Security, well then this is going to change the entire equation. Because then we would, let's say you're getting 25 grand from Social Security, well then really we're only going to need $25,000 from our portfolio every year. So that's going to really take down your financial independence number. But assuming, preparing for the worst, assuming, you don't have any guaranteed income or Social Security gets cut in half or, what have you. I don't have a crystal ball. We have no idea. But just by using your basic expenses, that withdrawal rate of 0.04, that's going to give you a really good target portfolio to shoot for. So recapping, so we have to figure out what our income sources are going to be. What are your roof over your head expenses? Then are we even close to retirement? So let's figure out our net worth. And then we're going to divide that by our estimated annual spending. That's going to give us a number. That number has to be at least 25. We want our portfolio, our net worth to be able to carry us 25 years plus. Over 25 years, fantastic. We're in the green zone, we're in the ballpark. Then we have to figure out how much do we need our retirement portfolio nest egg to be so that we can safely withdraw our basic living expenses without ever running out of money. So apply those concepts to yourself. You can play with the numbers and let me know if you have any questions. You can drop them in the comments here. If you have any questions about your specific situation or you want to understand how this can work for you and your family, check out our website. Go to wealthbllc.com. Please like and subscribe this content and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.